All right, hey everybody, this is Jeremy with Full of Sit Dog Training, and this is...
I'm Desi, this is Sammy.
And we're going to be covering some pretty basic dog stuff with you guys today. One of the biggest things we get asked a lot about is management. Like, how do we just manage our dog in the house? Like, how do we hang out with a dog in the house?
Exactly.
So,
first thing, obviously the most important topic is going to be supervision. So, like...
just watch your dog. You know,
that's all you do, watch them.
It's not really that easy, but, you know, supervise your dog. If you're not watching them, they're sneaking around, getting into things, and it helps. Supervise them. Eyes on your dog as much as possible.
And like I kind of tell people that every minute that you are spending with your dog, so your dog is out, it's walking around the house, you're with your dog, every minute you spend with them, you're training, whether you see it or not. So they're moving freely around the house, they're getting into stuff maybe they're pawing at you, climbing on you, and you're allowing it. All these small things, anything, and it can turn into bigger things. But every moment that you spend with your dog, you're training them.
So if we're hanging out in the living room and my dog decides to like meander in here into the kitchen and start chewing on a chair leg, like I gotta get up and follow my dog in here to make sure they're not doing something they're not supposed to?
Unless you don't care much for your chair legs.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Or if you're like my house and you've got the feral dog who's just discovered the trash can, I gotta watch him.
Hey, that's the all-you-can-eat buffet right there.
If he's free and I'm not looking, he's going to that trash can.
All right. So you know, in a nutshell, supervise your dog. Pay attention to what the heck they're doing.
Which leads us to the next topic.
Yep.
Crates. So what do I do when I can't supervise my dog? Well, I gotta go take a shower.
Throw them outside.
In the yard?
Sure.
Where no one's watching them? And they can dig a hole and get out. They can climb a fence and get out. They can push through the fence and get out, which I had happen yesterday. Once again, feral dog.
All right, so when we can't supervise our dog all the time, okay, say we got to go take a shower. I'm taking my monthly bath, and so I can't watch my dog, so I should probably put him in a crate, right? Okay, so crating your dog is actually a good thing when you can't supervise them. So that way you know they're at least not rehearsing bad habits. They're not practicing
diving,
getting in the trash or
chewing on table legs.
Yep, there we go.
Eating the couch. Eating the smaller animals that live in the house.
Yep. And there are different kind of crates also. So, you know, there's wire crates, there's the plastic enclosed kind of airline crates. There's big heavy duty metal crates for dogs that like to try to destroy their crate. Each type of crate really has a specific kind of use, or I use them for different things anyway. But we could elaborate more on that later on.
I think that's it for another day. Let's keep this short and sweet. So, next step to properly managing your dog. So you're going to supervise them, and if you're not supervising them, they're in a crate. They're safe. Your furniture's safe. How about leashes?
All right. So
what's the importance there?
So when you are supervising your dog, it's kind of important to have a leash on them, especially if they're not trained yet. Having a leash on your dog allows you to communicate with them, for one.
Allows you to communicate, prevents them from getting away from you, gives you, if they're maybe dragging the leash through the house, maybe they take off to chase the cat. You don't have to catch the dog, you just have to catch up to the leash.
Yep. And a pudgy person like me, I can get from the couch to the end of a leash a lot faster than I can get from the couch all the way to the back door where my dog's trying to break out.
Grabbing the dog who slips through your hands like a greased pig, you've got the leash. For dogs that tend to get in a lot of trouble in the house and maybe you're just not real attentive, I know people are busy, got lots going on, you can tether the dog to you. Yep. I mean, we do it with our children. We put leashes on their backpacks at the zoo. If you've got a dog and you just know you're going to fall short on supervision and you know that maybe you just ADD can't do it.
Yep. So leashes really
time to
kind of serve a couple of purposes. They keep your dog from just running off and completely ignoring you. And they give you an effective way of communicating with your dog. So if your dog is doing something that they shouldn't be, you can pick up the leash and give them a little tug and pull them away from whatever it is they're getting into, and let them know, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing that. So you can cut down on a lot of kind of bad habits in dogs by keeping a leash on them.
Step 1 is supervision, and again, if you can't supervise, you can tether your dog. Keep them out of trouble, keep them safe. It's not just a matter of your furniture getting destroyed. It could be life and death. Dogs have died from ingesting things that they should not, be it a bottle of Tylenol off the counter or a shoestring.
Yep.
So it's not cruel. It's actually responsible dog ownership.
So I can keep a leash on a dog in the house, though, right? Like,
You can put a leash on a dog anywhere as long as you're on the other end of it.
you wouldn't believe how many people ask me that question. Like when we're in a training session and I tell them, put a leash on the dog. They're like, well, what about inside? Well, put a leash on the dog inside.
Yeah.
Like, just because they're inside doesn't mean they can't be on a leash.
And to add to that, a lot of the beginning of obedience training, we do it in the house. We teach our dog to sit, we teach him to down. We can even go as far as teaching him to walk on a leash in the house. I mean, especially with all the rain that we've been having out here lately, we've been real limited on what we can do. So yeah, and you wear shoes in the house, put a leash on your dog in the house.
Yep, absolutely. And again, a leash on a dog will cut back on a lot of those bad habits. So speaking of bad habits, prevention versus correction.
It's a lot easier to prevent them than it is to correct them. Once bad habits are developed, it's a bad habit, learned behavior, whatever you want to call it. It's a lot harder to break a bad habit, to change or learn behavior, than it is to teach a dog something new. So I'm going to repeat that. It's harder to break a bad habit than it is to teach a dog something new. So if you have a dog who's already accustomed to running the show, chewing, maybe going to the bathroom, he's checking out, he's done.
He said he needs a break.
He's like, I don't want to talk about this. You got a dog that constantly pees in the house in the same spot. Guess what? That's a bad habit.
So yeah, Desi hit on it earlier when she said you're training your dog 24/7, what you really are. And if you're hanging out in the living room and you're watching a movie and your dog does come into the kitchen and start chewing on a chair leg or a table leg or something like that, and you don't get up and stop them, then you're really reinforcing those bad habits in the dog. You're essentially telling your dog, hey, it's cool, it's all right to chew up my furniture, right? If you don't tell them no, then you may as well tell them yes.
What do you do if you find the table leg chewed and the dog nowhere in sight?
Well, you're kind of stuck then. I mean,
you can't correct it if you didn't catch it.
You can't,
So that goes back to
correct
supervision.
the dog when you catch them doing something wrong, not 10 minutes later, or they don't really make that connection right away. So
Molly wants to be in the video.
Yeah, she's like, hey, hit me.
I want to be in the video.
So, yeah, all right, so we covered, leashes and stopping bad habits, but if we're going to stop bad habits, then on the flip side of that, we have to teach dogs other things to do, right? So
they've got to know yes and no. Dogs don't speak English, right, Jeremy?
That's right.
How do they understand words?
We teach them words.
We give the words value.
Dogs are really good at kind of reading our body language a little bit, but not so much understanding the words that are coming out of our mouth.
Yep, exactly.
So we have to teach them that. So that kind of goes, along into obedience, training your dog. And
oh, he's back.
Hi. Did you have a good nap, dude?
He says, I know all the obedience.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, and that's kind of, how we use obedience. That's why we teach the sits and the downs and the come and all that stuff. It's not just so we can show off with the dogs.
Kind of is.
Well, yeah, kind of is, but...
Basically, if you have a good foundation in obedience, then your dog has a better understanding of you. The work that you put into the dog to get to the level that we expect our personal dogs to get to. During that time, you're building a relationship. Your dog is learning you, your body language. You're also teaching them what yes and no means. So no goes a lot further at home if they already know what it means in a pleasant setting, meaning I ask my dog to sit, hey, You're licking the table, weirdo.
He's like, but the schnozberries
Licking
taste
the
like
table.
schnozberries, man.
Yeah, my dog's so well behaved. If your dog understands what no means in a controlled environment, such as sit down, stay, no, you did it wrong, they start to learn what that means, then you're going to be more successful in other aspects in uncontrolled environments. So the idea is do the obedience training with your dog. He's trying to put his nose in my mouth.
So a good obedience foundation makes a dog pretty much easier to handle and control. So if your dog's chasing another dog down the street, you can tell your dog down, and if we've done our due diligence and proper training, then our dog is going to stop chasing the other dog and lay down, or we can call them back to us or whatever. Or if we're walking, getting ready to cross the street, and our dog's walking in a nice heel next to us, and we want to go ahead and step out in the street, but we don't want our dog to, we ask the dog to sit, and they'll stop and sit while we step out into the street.
A lot of it too is learning, the biggest problem that people I work with have is timing. When to correct, when to praise, when to deliver the reward, things like that. And timing so much as to know when your dog's going to pull out of a sit before they do.
Yep.
So if you think about, you practice your timing in a safe, controlled environment, such as obedience training at home, your timing gets better. Your dog's going to respect you more, but it also gives you an opportunity to make mistakes in a safe environment. I don't want to make a mistake when I've got a dog lunging at somebody at the end of the leash. I don't want to then try to teach my dog no. I don't want to then try to teach my dog to stop.
Yeah, it's just pretty much too late then. That's the wrong situation to be trying to teach a dog.
I'd rather teach them all these things in a controlled environment where nobody can get hurt. And if you're good in those things and you're solid there, chances are you're going to be more successful in an uncontrolled environment.
Yeah.
So that's
So we touched on quite a few things. So dog management in general. So supervise your dogs. Part of supervision is using crates and leashes to contain and control your dogs. Cutting back on bad habits and
stopping bad habits and making sure that you have a good foundation in obedience.
Yeah. And absolutely use that obedience to control the dogs. That's what it's there for.
Yeah. This guy. I don't think he wants to be famous.
I don't either.
I don't think that
I don't want to be an internet dog.
You don't have a future in fame in YouTube videos, buddy. I'm sorry. All right, cool. So that's a wrap. We've covered quite a bit of stuff. Follow the channel. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe down there at the bottom. We've got more stuff coming, and hopefully Sammy will be a little more lively next time. I think we wore him out.
He's the CEO. He's had a long day.
Yes, that's right.
He didn't get enough coffee this morning.
No. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Like
and subscribe. We'll see you. Okay, let's see if all the distractions made that suck.
We forgot to take.
I forgot to take his toy away.
Like halfway through the video, I hear my. And I'm like, oh.
Shut up.